Hi, I'm Terry Fallis, and this is an Imagination Online video. I'm the author of Albatross, and I really wish I were speaking to you in person at the Morrin Centre in beautiful old Quebec City. I've been there for an earlier edition of the Writers' Festival, and it was amazing. I was so looking forward to going back. But we'll have to let this stand in, at least for the moment, until we are over this COVID-19 crisis. So we want to stay safe, and that means no gatherings like the Imagination Festival this year. I am sitting in the third floor library of our home where I do all of my writing. And I thought I would tell you a little bit about Albatross, because this is what I would have been talking to you about were we at the Morrin Centre in Quebec City. This novel came out last August. It is narrated by a young man named Adam. He's 17 years old when the novel opens, starting his final year in high school. He wants nothing more in life than to be a writer. He really loves three things in life, I guess you could say, beyond his family, of course, but he loves fountain pens and ink. He loves literature and creative writing. He wants to be a writer. And he loves his girlfriend, Allison, who also shares his passion for creative writing and for fountain pens. The third player, or another character in the mix, is Bobby Davenport. Late 50s, she is Adam's homeroom teacher in phys ed, and she also teaches him writer's craft, so she loves creative writing as well. She's a great character. I really enjoyed writing the Bobby Davenport character. She's a former semi-pro golfer and almost had a career on the Ladies Professional Golf Association Tour, the LPGA, until her back gave out on her and her dream of being a professional golfer was dashed before her eyes. There's the fourth character that I should mention. His name is Professor Ingemar Gunnarsson, and he is an obscure Swedish kinesiologist. And he is someone who has no filter. And comic novelists love to write characters who have no filter, because it leads to some pretty comic scenes. If he thinks it, he says it. So no filter whatsoever, and that's gotten him into some trouble over the years. The novel opens with a sort of a memorable line. The first line in chapter 1 is, "Would you mind if I measured your extremities?" And Bobby Davenport says that to Adam, one of her phys ed students. And she says it because she has just read an article in a Swedish kinesiology journal, as one does, written by Professor Gunnarsson, where he has laid out his theory. And his theory is that according to a series of bodily measurements and ratios and an elaborate algorithm, one can determine what sport your body anatomically is oriented towards. And this is an interesting concept, and Bobby Davenport measures Adam's extremities, and strangely enough, he's never played golf in his life, he's never held a golf club in his hand in his life, yet his bodily measurements yield what they call a Gunnarsson number, named after the theory's founder, Ingemar Gunnarsson, a Gunnarsson number of 99 out of 100 for golf. Nobody on the planet in any sport has been recorded with a measurement or a Gunnarsson number above 90 until this happens. So Bobby Davenport, a former golfer, wants to find out about this theory. She takes her young student Adam to the driving range, the course where she used to play, and lo and behold, in short order, he demonstrates an extraordinary gift for golf. Clearly, Professor Gunnarsson's theory is valid and has been ratified in a way by this and verified by this extraordinary student Adam and his phys ed teacher Bobby Davenport. The novel takes off from there, and Adam's life takes on a different course. Instead of working towards creative writing, in a way, his gift for golf has forced him into a different path, and he gets a full ride scholarship to Stanford University, where he leads the golf team to the NCAA championship. And before we know it, he is tearing up the PGA Tour, winning tournament after tournament, and quickly becomes the very best golfer in the world. You might think this is a novel about golf. It is not a novel about golf. In my mind, it's a novel about life, about love, about loss, a bit about grief, but perhaps most importantly, it's an examination of that tension that exists between success and happiness. Adam becomes more successful than he could ever have dreamed, but he's not particularly happy. Success is not always a quick trip to happiness. Often we're good at something, but it doesn't bring us joy. All Adam wants to do is to be a writer, and he's not nearly as good a writer as he is a golfer, and that sets up this conflict. His success as a golfer, over which he really has no agency because it's just his body doing it. He's essentially an empty vessel swinging a club, versus what he wants to do is to work really hard and to get better and better as a writer and to one day be published. And I think it's a debate that perhaps others have had in their own lives. They fall into a job, they succeed at it, they get promoted, they get raises, and by all the standard measures of success, they're being very successful. But they're not happy, and that's what this novel is about. Why don't I read you the first half of the novel? No, I won't read you the first half. We don't have time for that, but let me read perhaps a 5-minute little section. And in this piece, Adam is on the golf course for the very first time with Bobby Davenport. They're playing the course, and this is a bit about his first experience playing golf. He really loves driving the golf cart, more than he does playing the game. But here we go. We carried on. I shot, we talked, I drove, she shouted, I slowed down, we talked, and I shot. Playing a round of golf sure eats up a lot of time. It took hours, maybe 3 or 4. I thought I was doing quite well. At golf, I mean, not at cart driving. But I really didn't know enough about the game to be certain. Ms. Davenport was encouraging and very helpful, but other than on my opening shot, she wasn't exactly doing handsprings and hurling superlatives whenever I finished a hole. Maybe she was a little jittery from my driving. But honestly, there were only a couple of close calls, and she wasn't even in the cart for one of them. We finished the 18th hole, and after handing the rental clubs back to the pro shop, we had a drink on the patio. Ms. Davenport looked a little shaky, even stunned. I was a little concerned. She downed her Arnold Palmer, iced tea and lemonade, in 2 big gulps. Are you okay, Ms. Davenport? No, I can't say I am, she replied, shaking her head. This is absolutely shocking, and I suspect it has never happened in the long and rich history of the game. Well, I already apologized. I swear I thought I had steered clear of that garbage can, and how was I to know the pond was right behind? My view was completely blocked. It was an accident. Adam, I'm not referring to your sudden and unauthorized immersion in the water hazard. The golf cart will dry out, eventually. I'm talking about your golf game. Oh, okay then, but I do feel kind of bad about the whole driving the cart into the pond thing. She consulted the scorecard. Well, you finished with a 74, which for men is 4 over par on this course. Well, that's a little disappointing. Aren't you supposed to make it around in par? Adam, only a microscopic slice of recreational golfers ever shoot par, and even those who do have played the game for years. It's quite possible you are the one and only first-time golfer ever to have shot 4 over par on an 18-hole championship course. Heck, most golfers in their early rounds shoot 4 over par on every blessed one of those 18 holes. Oh, so I did okay. Okay. Adam, if Sports Illustrated happened to have had a reporter on the course today, you'd be in next month's issue, possibly on the cover. Cool. I guess I'd be one of the few non-athletes to appear in those pages. I mean, except for the swimsuit issue. She ignored me and studied the scorecard, which featured not just numbers, but notes as well. Finally, she spoke. "So listen up, that was a great first round. In fact, it was astounding. What's even more impressive, however, is that you achieved that 74 with 9 three-putt greens. If you could turn each of those 9 three-putt greens into 2-putt greens, you would have shot a 65 and would be a PGA caliber player," she marveled. "Holy shuddering shite, that makes my mind a maelstrom. Pardon my language." "I got a few of those little birdie thingamajigs too, didn't I?" "You surely did. 6 of them, in fact." "Well, I guess that's pretty good." "Listen, Mr. Coryell." Just lost my spot there. "Listen, Mr. Coryell," that's Adam's last name, "I'd really like you to play on the high school golf team. I only had one player show up, and he promptly sprained his wrist at football practice and is out. If I can get you registered for the tournament next week, will you play?" She seemed very excited. I'd forgotten there was a golf team. "Well, will you be there so I know what I'm doing?" "Well, I'll be there, but I can't coach you during the tournament. It's not allowed." I felt a slight twinge of panic. This was getting a little out of hand. What about my writing? What about Allie? I already had a lot on my plate. "I'm not sure, Miss Davenport. Can I think about it?" "You get the whole day off school, Adam." "Okay, I thought about it. I'm in," I replied after deep deliberation. "So I get to take a cart all by myself?" She smiled. No. You walk and carry your own bag in tournaments." "Wait, I have to walk the whole course carrying that heavy bag?" "I'm afraid so. That's how tournaments work. And did I mention the day off?" "Okay, I'll walk." "Splendid. I'll try to make the arrangements." Everything moved quickly after that. One minute I was just a regular student with a girlfriend, stressing about my grades as I navigated my last year of high school. The next, I apparently had boundless potential as a golfer and was wearing my school colors in a tournament. I was having a hard time keeping up. It was like being swept along on the crest of a massive wave. If I windmilled my arms, I could just keep my head above the foamy, swirling water. Let me stop there. Now, a few of you posed some questions that have been sent to me. Why don't I take a stab at answering them in the few moments we have left? First question, is there anything in your life that you are naturally good at but don't enjoy? Or is there anything that you wish that you could be naturally good at but aren't? Well, I like to say there's plenty of things I'm really good at naturally, but I can't say there really is. I think the one thing I would have loved to have been a natural at would be singing. Music's been a big part of my life. You can see the guitar behind me. I write music. I used to play in a band. I sing. But I don't sing all that well. I sing just well enough to know that I'm not a great singer. So if I could do it all over again, I would love to be gifted with an ability to sing that surpasses my current ability to sing. Next question. As a writer known for his ability to weave humor in stories, do you feel humor requires more editing to come out the way you want it to? Well, that's a very good question because humor is such a subjective topic. One person's hilarious is another person's cringy. So we all have different senses of humor. And I think the best humor is the line that comes naturally as you're writing it. I do edit the funny parts, as I edit the entire manuscript, of course, but I do edit the funny parts to try and make it funnier by removing a word, adding a different word, maybe changing the structure of the sentence, just to try to make it funny. But there is a danger here. I think analyzing humor is a little bit like dissecting a frog. When you dissect a frog, you learn a lot about the frog, but the frog usually dies. And you don't want to kill the humor by analyzing it too deeply and getting underneath it so much. Best, I think, just to take a quick pass through it, decide if you can tweak it a bit to make it funnier, but don't dwell on it too much or you may just kill it altogether. Next question. You wrote about destiny in Albatross. Can you expand on your vision of destiny and how you articulate it in your novel? Well, I touched on it already in the chat before I did the reading. This is a novel about success and how that differs from happiness. I think we have to control our destiny in a way, and we have to seek out that which makes us... timer went off there. I think we have to figure out what makes us really happy in life, and sort out how to integrate that into our life. So even though we may be really successful at what we're doing, if we're not happy, we're not living a full life. So integrate happiness into your life, and that is a much better destiny than a job that you are good at but don't necessarily enjoy. Finally, in Albatross, the main character is passionate about fountain pens. Are you as well? Well, that's an interesting question. Yes, I do like fountain pens. There is no research required for the fountain pen stuff in the novel. I think I see a couple of fountain pens on my desk, or at least there's one here. This is one of my fountain pens. It's a Visconti Voyager. I picked it up a year or so ago. It's a lovely pen and writes very well. To me, fountain pens is a link to, a tangible link really, to the writers of the past whom I have adored and revered and read. So I know that when I'm writing with, say, a Parker dual-fold Centennial fountain pen, that it feels the same in my hand and on the page as it did in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's hand when he wrote the Sherlock Holmes stories. So that's the link to writers I've loved. So there's a connection with my little hobby of fountain pen collecting and my love of writing. Thanks so much for tuning into this. I'm sorry we aren't together in Quebec City, but we will be again. We will come back to the Morrin Centre, and I hope that I will see you there. In the meantime, please stay safe, wash your hands, and stay at home, like I am. I'm going to head back and start working on my 8th novel right now. Thanks so much. Oh, I have to turn the camera off now.